If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm a fan of the director Lee Frost. In the 60s and 70s, he put out a number of memorable exploitation films, from westerns like Hotspur to the bonkers blaxploitation film The Black Gestapo, to sick thrillers like The Animal. The guy worked in all kinds of exploitation subgenres and left his mark on each of them. You might also know that I'm a fan of 90s erotic thrillers, particularly those with the lovely Shannon Whirry. Well, did you know that the very last film directed by Lee Frost was a 90s erotic thriller starring Shannon Whirry? Somehow the stars aligned and gave me exactly what I wanted. Be still, my throbbing. Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Private Obsession from 1995. This was the final film directed by legendary exploitation filmmaker Lee Frost. And before we get started, I'd like to point out that I'm not the first one here on YouTube to talk about this film. One of my favorite channels, Jay Harang, covered it a while back. His channel is one of the very few that I watch every week. One thing that I like about his channel is that he clearly likes the trash he's talking about. None of that internet hate machine nonsense. He's great and should have a much bigger audience. Check him out. But I know what you're thinking. Oh, Rob, that's actually pretty cool of you to try to help out another channel. Why don't big movie review channels ever do that? Well, that's easy. It's because they're So, let's see how Lee Frost went out with the lovely Shannon Whirry. We open on a photo shoot. There's our gal. She's struggling with a dog. That's not a euphemism. That's what's happening on the screen. In another part of the movie, a guy is doing some manly arts and crafts. A news report tells him that Shannon Whirry, here playing Emmanuel, is famous.
In a few minutes, we will switch our control to the Women's Press Club to honor Emmanuel Griffith as Woman of the Year.
Some people may not know the name, but they should be able to recognize the face.
Yeah, face. At this press conference, we learn Emmanuel is a feminist icon.
You should remain barefoot and pregnant.
I might have taken that out of context. Anyway, the guy watching is a big fan. Maybe too big. The next day, Emmanuel gets dressed in her RV, naturally. Oh my God, naturally. That's nothing you can see here on YouTube.
Man, I just work here.
But of course, we don't have to stay here. You can now support the channel on Patreon and get access to spicy versions of my reviews. Link is in the description. She then gets her photo taken outside the Chinese theater. A guy is waiting outside. When she leaves the RV, he follows her around a bit. Will he turn out to be one of these crazed fans? Later that night, he talks to himself and seems to be a bit misogynistic.
I think all you girls should remember the terminology. Manpower, manipulate, the rights of man, manhole.
So his attitude towards Emmanuel is now opposite of what it was before. He now wants to change her attitude and stamp the feminism right out of her. And I don't know what can explain this sudden change. I mean, the film came out in 1995, so that's like a whole year before he could have been influenced by Fox News. Maybe he listened to too much James Brown.
This is a man's world.
The next day, he pretends to be her limo driver and pumps ether into Emmanuel's back seat. And that's not a euphemism either. That's what's happening on the screen. This, of course, knocks her out. And now she's caught. He tells her how long she remains caught depends entirely on her. He wants her to learn her place. Before too long, she tries to escape, but gets stuck. Luckily, her captor has some butter, so he lubes her up so she can slide back in. And no, there is no way you can see any of this here on YouTube.
No fair.
Once she's back in her room, she takes a shower to wash all that greasy butter off.
This ought to be fun to watch.
The days stretch on, and naturally, Emmanuel doesn't much care for her predicament. Her captor, however, seems to think she'll eventually come around to his way of thinking. He even goes out and buys her some clothes and books them a vacation. And the travel agent is Rip Taylor. What is he doing in a movie like this? Back in the locked room, Emmanuelle and her captor have dinner over 1990s Zoom, which ends in Emmanuelle doing a striptease. This gets Emmanuelle feeling some kind of way.
I really need a man right now, Richard. You can do that for me, can't you?
Bitch, are you for real?
So she meets her needs, which is kind of weird. Oh, but it was all a ruse to escape. That's less weird, I suppose. Unfortunately for her, her captor captors her again. As punishment, he takes away her linen privileges and dress privileges, but you can't see that part. Or parts, I guess. While all of this has been going on, there's been an investigation into Emmanuelle's whereabouts, and the lead investigator, a private detective, is played by Bo Svensson. What is he doing in a film like this? But his investigation isn't going well. The main witness is a racist caricature.
He had on a braque jacket and a braque hat.
Was it a black man?
No, white man.
Well, since Emmanuelle lost her clothing privileges, there's not much else I can show you from the rest of her predicament, so that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Shannon Whirry, my God. In 1995, I was 18 years old. The things I'd have liked to have said to her.
Take your clothes off.
I'll get that inside you.
Much different from what I'd say to her today, of course.
Oh, sure.
We don't get to see as much of her in this film as we do in the Animal Instinct films, for example, but with the shower scene, the striptease, and various other scenes of bits and bouncing bobs, there's plenty. And she's not just a pretty face, she's also a decent actress, way better than the guy playing her captor. Actually, she's way better than most of the people she appeared with in films. Beyond the lovely Shannon, I did like the story well enough and really liked the ending of the movie, although I do wish that portion of the story had gone longer, but I don't want to say too much more than that. But beyond the lovely Shannon and the okay story, the film is far from perfect. Like a loser watching a cam girl, this film has some shortcomings. Well, the writing of this thing is pretty bad. Aside from the completely inexplicable change the guy goes through, from superfan to misogynist, we get numerous bits of asinine dialogue like this.
Where am I?
Why do you ask?
Why do you ask? She was kidnapped and placed in a strange room. Her question was completely reasonable. And beyond all of the ridiculous things that the guy says and does, we've got that B story with the private investigator who goes from one racist conversation to the next. So this movie is kind of a mess. There is somewhere in here a good idea, a story where you aren't sure if the captive is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome or trying to outsmart a captor. That's kind of cool, it's just not executed well. Not well at all. And so ends the career of Lee Frost. It's really impressive he tried his hand at so many subgenres of exploitation films. Nudie cuties, Nazi-sploitation, blaxploitation, western, roughy noir, psychological thriller, and even a 90s erotic thriller. That's really cool. But with his final effort, he didn't go out on top, which is fine. If I could make a film with Shannon Whirry, I probably wouldn't go out on top either.